Okay, so what if for one whole month every year the gates to the spirit world just swung wide open? Well, for a lot of people, that's not some what if scenario, it's a reality. Today, we're diving into the Ghost Festival, and it's a tradition that's way less about spooky ghosts and so much more about history, family, and, believe it or not, deep compassion. So let's get into it. All right, so this all kicks off during a really specific time of year. We're talking about the seventh month of the lunar calendar. In a lot of East Asian cultures, this is literally called Ghost Month. And people say you can feel a real, almost tangible shift in the air. And what's the big deal about this month? Well, the belief is that the barriers, the walls between our world and the spirit world, they basically just dissolve. And for a short time, ghosts and spirits, we're talking everyone from your own ancestors to maybe some forgotten, lonely souls, they're all allowed to just roam the earth. Yeah, that warning, it really gets to the heart of how a lot of people first see this festival, right? But here's the thing, it's not just about being scared. It's really about respect, about remembrance, and this really complex relationship with the spirit world. So the big question is, why? Why does this even happen? Well, the answer to why isn't just one simple story. It's actually two really important tales that kind of run side by side. You've got one from Buddhism and another from Taoist and folk traditions. So let's break those down. Okay, so these two stories are what really give the festival all its layers. First, you have the Buddhist tale. It's about this incredibly devoted monk named Mulian, who literally goes down into the underworld to save his mom from suffering, and that story sets up this huge theme of compassion. Then you've got the Taoist and folk version, which is, well, it's a little different. It's more like a divine pardon from a deity known as the Officer of Earth. He basically grants all the spirits a month-long holiday to come visit us, the living. So, see? One's a really personal quest, the other is a cosmic decree, but they both end up at the same place. This idea of a temporary bridge between our world and theirs. In that story about Mulian trying to save his mom, that points to something absolutely central here, a cultural value called filial piety, or xiao. And look, this isn't just about respecting your elders. It's this really deep, powerful virtue of caring for your parents and your ancestors, even after they're gone. Honestly, it's the emotional engine that takes this whole thing from just a spooky ghost story and turns it into this profound act of family remembrance. So, okay, that's the why. But what does this all actually look like in practice? How do people on the street observe the festival? How do they honor both their own family members and all those other wandering, maybe forgotten spirits? Well, a huge part of it is preparing offerings. I mean, people set out these incredible feasts, and they're not just for their own ancestors. They're also for those wandering spirits, who are often called good brothers. It's a respectful term, to be polite and stay on their good side. You'll see everything: food, rice wine, incense, and this is a big one, joss paper. Think of it like spirit money that they can spend in the afterlife. The whole goal is really simple: make them comfortable, keep everyone happy. And all of this leads up to a very public ritual that you can literally see right on the street. Little temporary altars just pop up on the sidewalks. Incense is lit. It's almost like a dinner bell for the spirit world, inviting them to come. And then the joss paper and other paper gifts are burned in these metal bins. And that act of burning, that's the whole point. It's the delivery system, the way to send these gifts from our world straight to theirs. But, that's really only one side of the coin. Because for Buddhists, the festival, which they call Yulan, it takes on this whole other, much more philosophical meaning. For them, it's way less about appeasing spirits and much more about pure compassion. And you can really see the key differences right here. The general public's focus is usually on appeasing specific spirits, right? Like their own ancestors and the local ghosts. But the Buddhist goal is so much bigger. It's about the salvation and liberation of all beings from suffering. And the practices totally reflect that. Instead of burning stuff, the focus shifts to more spiritual acts, like chanting sutras or doing charity work to build up positive merit. And honestly, that shift in perspective changes everything. In the Buddhist tradition, it's not about just feeding hungry ghosts to keep them happy. No, the living are actively playing a role in helping to liberate them from their suffering. It becomes this incredible act of universal compassion, which, if you think about it, goes right back to that original story of Mu Lian and the love he had for his mother. So, okay, when you put all the pieces together, you've got the folk traditions, the deep Buddhist philosophy, all the public rituals. What is the Ghost Festival really about? I mean, it's pretty clear by now it's about a whole lot more than just ghosts. If you can look past all the smoke and the offerings on the sidewalk, you start to see the festival's true heart. It's a time for the living to stop and really think about their connection to the past. It strengthens the whole community, and it reinforces one single, powerful idea, that the bonds of family don't just end when someone dies. And if you look at the core values here, you can see exactly how it all fits together. Filial piety, that's the main driver, right? That personal duty to your family. Then you have compassion, which is the Buddhist influence that expands that care to everybody, to all souls. And then wrapped around all of that, you have remembrance and community. It all comes together to create this tradition with so many layers. You know, maybe the most beautiful takeaway from all of this is a really simple, universal truth. It doesn't matter if it's a food offering on a street corner or a quiet sutra being chanted in a temple. The Ghost Festival is this powerful, yearly reminder that our connection to the people who came before us, it isn't broken. It's a living, breathing thing. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. I mean, every culture all over the world has ways of remembering the people who are no longer with us. So it makes you wonder, right? What are the traditions that connect you to your own past? Thanks so much for joining us.